matrix, which is referred to as PAM guide. That is absolute. SAP will just go by it and just tell you if you are outside its realm. For example, certain things are not supported, but they still work. And certain organizations try to take advantage of it and just go off with it. But when an issue happens, you create a ticket with SAP, SAP will come and say, nope, that's not supported. Who asked you to use it? But it's working. No, who asked you to use it? So sometimes you cannot even argue with that. The simplest example I can give is a middleware, SQL 2016 or above, OLEDB is not supported, which means all your users, every single user who uses 32-bit connection has to have an ODBC set up for them. So it is pain. In bigger organizations, it's hard to find that many people and make sure connections are set up correctly for them. So small changes like that will be a very small minor line in the PAM guide, which everyone overlooks. Trust me. So keep that in mind to find, especially when you're thinking of using, hey, my IT can now support Windows 2016. Let's see if BO supports it or not. My IT can support SQL 2016. Make sure you check the PAM guide, because it will list everything for you, because that is what they will throw on your face when you go with a ticket in front of them. So, all right, I know I have a very simple statement here. Don't install in C drive. How many of you have business objects on C drive? Yay!
They wouldn't let me get another drive.
They wouldn't let you get another drive. Oh, well,
Asked for it, and they said, nope.
we'll wait for a patching to go wrong.
It runs
We'll wait for an OS patch to go wrong. All right. So C drive is mostly where the operating system is set up, and you might get notifications in your IT department regarding frequent patches or updates that they do on certain applications or certain servers. So most of the time, a lot of companies keep on updating the operating system just because Microsoft keeps releasing new security, measures for protection. So mostly servers get updated with that. So patching C drive sometimes can go wrong, which means your application can get affected because everything that you install gets intertwined and entangled with your OS and your registry of the OS. So as a good practice, you want your installation done on another drive, never on the C drive, unless your IT is okay with it. Yeah. So this also I say, do not store files locally, which means your input and output folders, your FRS, should not be local. Why? For any reason, if your application server gets knocked out, your database and FRS, if you have those two separately saved somewhere, you can still save BO. Because if your server goes out and your files go out with it, you're done. So just keep that in mind. How hard is it to change my FRS folder and put it on a network drive? 2 minutes. That's it. It's just one minor change on CMC, which actually Mike taught me, 8 years ago?
or more,
Yeah. All right, post-installation, know what tools you're going to get with your install, because every new release, they keep adding new small feature, kind of like in 4.2, they have automation framework. So talking about automation framework, small things like that, which help you change the Webby data source, basically. So something to remember regarding automation framework is, if you do an in-place upgrade, it is not checked by default, which means you have to do a custom install, you get the options, and then you select it. If you do a brand new install, it just dumps it in there. So keep that in mind, because if you miss it somehow, you can always run a repair and add that feature. So keep that in mind as well. Post-installation checklist. Again, this is a generic one, a decent one, a good one to have. You will, if you use this, you will build upon this because each organization is unique. Some use open documents, some do not. So that should be part of your checklist, something like that. Is your license changing? Go and check your license if it's still the same. Platform search settings, if they are the same, because if you don't set up the platform search settings right, it can eat up resource behind the scene and affect performance of BO. If you use version management, make sure that is set up right. Simple things like that. Authentication is working. Your file store is set up right. Promotion management is working. Information steward, if you have it, is set up right. This is out of curiosity. How many of us use information steward? Yeah, I kind of expected that.
Well, you use data services. Yeah.
We separated it from our business objects for reporting analytics because of internal reasons.
Right.
I'm sure there's a story.
All right. This is a basic checklist, which is, can you create a new connection after the upgrade, right? Can you create a new universe? Can you create a new report? Can you do a new promotion from one environment to another? New user creation and login, if you have single sign-on, if that is working. New security. So very few basic things. This is what we call a smoke test. This is what we always do whenever we do an upgrade for a client. This will make sure everything basic is working. And then, you can test other things other than that. Another thing is, when you do a brand new install of BO, how many of you actually split your APS? Too technical, I know. All right. Quickly I can explain you. Basically, when BO, Business Objects application is installed, there are different features or different codes that help perform certain tasks, such as, you run Webby. So there's a code that helps run Webby. There are graphs in Webby. There is a code that helps process those graphs in Webby. Those codes run via a processing server in Business Objects in CMC. So after we do an install or a brand new install, normally we go and check the APS server or adaptive processing server, and we make sure all of these things are working fine. And another thing is, some of them are grouped together in one container. We take them out, ungroup them, and create its own container for it to run. So these are certain things that we have to do in order to make sure the application is running fine without slowing down the system, so that we give it adequate power, RAM, and CPU assignment so that it can do its own function.